How's everyone doing today? All right, we're going to get into this as people are logging in. Thank you for joining this. How's everyone doing today? All right, we're going to get into this as people are logging in. Information out there for joining this. How's everyone doing today? All right, we're going to get into this as people are logging in. Information out there for joining this. How's everyone doing today? We're going to get into this as people are logging in. Information out there for joining this. We understand that everyone is Let's see if this fixes it. Let's see. Tell me if that fixed it. Is that good? Okay, cool. All right, here we go. Back to square one. Oh, I see what happened. I had multiple windows up, so it just kept replaying what's going on. All right, here we go. So next week, the 6th, that is going to be you all first and foremost. You guys are going to be, kind of hitting the ground running. So what is that going to look like for you? All right. For us, as far as my class, you all are going to basically just be continuing to review. Now, there is something that will go out tomorrow morning in the announcements area. You can't see it right now in Canvas, but it'll show up as of tomorrow morning, or at least it should, which will give you the office hours for me. Basically, it's when I will be available on Zoom, so that if you need to, you can always, come and find me. Basically, the way it's going to work, I'll be on Zoom for a period of time, and I will post the link into Canvas or through a Canvas message, and then you're just going to use that to kind of jump into my Zoom chat thing, and we'll talk about whatever we need to talk about if you have something going on. This doesn't have to only be school related, but it can be either or. It could be stuff that you just want someone to talk to if you really just want to get stuff off your chest. It could be stuff that you're trying to just understand better. It's whatever you want to do. So in the grand scheme of things, I will be available basically 5 days a week. 4 days a week. Fridays are still kind of our staff meeting day, so I'm kind of spotty then. But I can still make some time work if you let me know ahead of time via email and you say, hey, I can't make your normal times, but I can do, and you give me an example. And I go, all right, let me see if I can make it work. And I'll email you back and kind of go from there. So that's kind of where we're going to be at least for the next week or two. Next week is a short week anyway, because Friday is still a designated day for you guys to have a break, as it was before we went on this crazy, COVID-19 deal. But you're going to have 4 days of work next week, and then the next week you'll have another week of review. So overall, not too bad. We're not getting into anything new as far as content and stuff. We're not getting into anything new until April 20th, the week of April 20th. That's when we'll start to kind of get rocking and rolling with parts of World War I, going into World War II, and then all the way into World War II. That's when we're going to kind of start getting there. Now, there's a lot of moving parts about grades, new assignments, and a lot of other stuff. And I'm not going to go into a lot of that today, partly because there's a lot of stuff getting worked out at the district level that doesn't really concern any of us, and we're waiting to hear from them. But I just don't want you guys to be bogged down with a whole bunch of extra stuff that you don't need to worry about. Right now, we just need to focus about these next 2 weeks. getting back into the general flow of school, because for the most part, we just need to get back into a routine. Um, you have the material from the book online right now. You should be able to get to the textbook chapters, the 33 or 34 if you want to go a little ahead. Both of those are available for you now. And that's kind of where my focus is, just making sure you have material ready. Now, I will be posting videos, but a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be posting over the next week or two is either going to be stuff that's for you to review, or it's intended to be there for when we actually get into new content. So, unless I tell you specifically, hey, I want you to watch this video, probably hold off, because I don't want you to get into the new content just yet, because the district wants us to kind of have this 2-week window where you guys can kind of take it easy. Okay. So, there's a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, a lot of changes since the last time I did one of these updates. Um, we went from we might be back in school to we're definitely not coming back to school. So that is obviously a big shift in direction as far as what we were planning for and hoping for. At least, some of us were probably hoping for it. Others maybe not. But anyway, the long and short of it is, we're going to be trying to get as much ground covered in the most expedient and easy way possible. And I don't mean that it's going to be easy to do. I just mean that we're not going to try to overwhelm anyone. And that's kind of the moral of this kind of conversation here. So I'm going to do my best to kind of give you guys what you need without giving you way too much. And we'll kind of go from there. But that should be where we're at. All right. I'm looking at chat real quick. Are there any questions before we get off and go about our day and go get dinner and whatnot? Are there any questions specifically that any of you would like me to go over that you're just super curious about, that you think I might be able to answer, and you would like me to kind of give you some help there? Are we going to have any tests? I don't think in the same way that you have had tests in the past. If we do, I would imagine they're going to be more in the form of weekly quizzes or something along that line. I don't know specifically yet, so don't quote me on this. And that's not going to be for a few weeks, even then. Why aren't we starting content until the 20th? Good question. So, like I was saying, the district is a little bit worried because we've been out of out of school for a few weeks, that trying to jump into brand new content sooner rather than later might overwhelm people too much. And that it might cause more problems than not. So the hope is that if we take a couple of weeks just to kind of review stuff that we were going over just before spring break, and we kind of get our mind around and just kind of get into a routine, we'll be able to go from that to the next phase, which is doing new content. So it's not a perfect system, but it is trying to take your best interest at heart, because obviously the expectations and the flow is going to be a lot different now that we're fully online. And a lot of you have never either taken an online class or have never really wanted to take an online class, and now you're kind of being forced to. So we just want to make sure that the supports are there first before we jump in and kind of go from there. All right, we got 2 questions asking about Zoom. How do we go to Zoom? How do we get to Zoom? I will post a link in Canvas, but you just go, if you Google search Zoom, I believe it's zoom.us is the actual link. You can make an account there if you really want to, or whenever I send the link out for Zoom, if you click it, you can actually join it without having to have an account, I do believe. I will verify, but I'm almost positive you don't need an account with Zoom to actually join it. You just need the meeting code that comes along with the link, and then there's a password that's generated. As long as you have those two, you should be good to go. So you don't need to do anything necessarily for Zoom. it's going to be something that I will send out via a website link in Canvas, and you would just click that link. It will bring you to like the meeting page basically, and then you put in the meeting code and the password. And I'm pretty sure that's how it is. I will verify and double check, but on my end, it's a little bit different than it will be on yours. So I will just make sure that I'm correct there. When is online school planning to end? No idea. I imagine it's definitely not going to be longer than well, can't say definitely. I would guess that it's not going to be longer than the normal school year. So whatever the normal school year is, I'd say it's probably going to be within reason around then. But a lot of that is kind of up in the air at this point. We're still kind of waiting to see what the district says and what the state says, and a lot of that's just out of our control. Right now, we just need to focus on these next 2 weeks, just kind of getting into a pattern, coming online, interacting with me so I know you're alive, and you can tell me whatever problems you're having either with Canvas or with any type of electronic medium. That way, if you're seriously having issues with the internet and you need to get some other stuff addressed, we're able to kind of put out those fires as they are coming up, as opposed to waiting to the end. Let's see. Do we know if you're still going to have finals? A lot of that's coming down the pipe. I'm sure that finals will be addressed by district. Wait and see on that one. I'm not sure. Is AZ Merit still going to happen? As far as I've been told, I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive that the state suspended AZ Merit testing for this year. I'm almost positive that was part of the legislation passed a week or two ago. I could be wrong, but I'll do a little bit of digging, but I'm pretty sure that it has. Okay, you don't need an account for Zoom. Perfect. That's awesome. So I would send out the like meeting code link, and then you just click on that. You put in the meeting number and then the password, and then you join in. Don't freak out if you don't immediately see my face, because there is a new security feature that they added for us because of this, called a waiting room. So what that means is I have to actually add you to the classroom, and therefore we don't have any issues with unwanted pictures and whatnot, because I guess they had a security issue of people doing some really awful things with Zoom, hacking into it and being pretty gross. So they have since tried to fix that, and the waiting room is what that is, and it is now live, and it seems to work okay. Zoom is only for office hours. That's correct. So I will be online, similar to how I am now. Just it will just be in the Zoom platform. So if you have questions for me specifically, or you just want someone to talk to you for a few minutes, that's kind of what I'm going to be there for. If you have questions about content when we get to new content, or if you have questions that you just want to double check your understanding of the old content, that's kind of what that's going to be used for. Any kind of issues that arise. Now, I understand that the office hours are going to be kind of wide. I have, I think, 3 hours set aside in a couple different blocks. It's kind of like, so you guys can get as much interaction as you need without feeling like you have to come by mine versus someone else's or something like that. So, but office hours, yeah, that's what Zoom is going to be used for. Do we have to go onto Zoom, or is it just open at office hours? So you don't have to go on to Zoom necessarily, but you click on the link that I'm going to send out in Canvas, and then that will basically bring up what you need. And inside that link that I send in an email, it'll have what you need to kind of fill in there, and then you'll join the platform. At least that's how I understand it to work. I could be wrong, but I will kind of verify and see. But it's open office hours in the sense that it doesn't really matter when you show up. It's just if everyone's kind of coming around the same time, then if you want to talk one-on-one for a little while, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do if everyone's kind of, trying to get my attention for the same, hour block, if that makes sense. But it is open to anybody, and it's kind of just, first come, first serve kind of deal. Unless you call me, or sorry, unless you email me, and then we set up a time, and then we can kind of knock it out. Are assignments on Canvas going to be set up the same? Yeah, probably. I don't see how they would change if we're going to do assignments in Canvas like we plan on it. I don't see how it would be much different than what you've already done. The platform pretty much is the same. It might be a little bit more streamlined and tailored to what we're doing as opposed to being so wide. Um, are we? But yeah, so for the most part, assignments will be more or less the same. What about lectures? Are you thinking of doing these on Zoom? I'm probably not. I'm probably just going to record the YouTube video because it's a little easier to pre-record and then post the link in Canvas so you guys can watch it at your leisure whenever you guys can kind of fit it in your day. That seems to be a little bit more efficient as far as time and making sure that everyone's able to get the same material at the same speed. If that makes sense. And then I would have Zoom so that if you don't understand something from the lecture, you can come in and ask me those questions, if that makes sense. So, good question. Are we still going to do discussion boards? Oh, good question. At this point, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to be, mainly because I'm still waiting back for some information from districts. So I don't want to tell you one thing and then have to switch my entire way of thinking. But my thought is that we will probably do something very similar to a discussion board, but more in line with just you posting your responses as opposed to you commenting on other people, if that makes sense. A little bit more focused. I'd be wanting to get your thoughts as to the answer to a question, less so you commenting on other people. So it might be a discussion board, but it might be in the form of just you posting your response to a question or something like that. Do we know for sure if we are starting new content April 20th? That is what I was told, that April 20th is when we will be able to start new content. Now, if that changes, that's kind of that's something that I will go with you. As far as I know, that seems to be the projection for district is they want to kind of get us set up, and then after 2 weeks we should be able to get this going. And April 20th is the target date. So is it for sure? No, it's not for sure. Is it very likely? Yes, it is. It's more likely than not that will be the case. I'm kind of waiting for the go ahead, but for the most part, it seems like that's been the universal standard. The only issue right now that they're trying to figure out is how are we going to do grades and what is that going to look like, and a lot of that isn't really decided yet. Are we set up if there is a COVID-19 or COVID-20 and school is online next fall? No idea. That is way above my pay grade. I would imagine that they are at least thinking about it, but I have no information, and right now they're kind of neck deep in the current problems that trying to deal with the other issues that might happen down the road. I don't think they're even remotely looking at that too hard. I think they're just trying to deal with the here and now and go from there, if that makes sense. All right, let's see here. Let me make sure I didn't miss any other questions. All right, are there any last couple of questions that people would like to go over? All right. Let's see here. All right, so for the most part, we're good to go. I have a plan, and it should be pretty easy to kind of go through. Oh, when is the lockdown assignment due? It's not really due. It was more something that I was trying to give you guys a way to interact with me that wasn't something that is an assignment. As you can see, it's not worth any points. It's not worth any points for a very specific reason. I don't want you to feel obligated to do that, but that's just something that if you wanted to kind of talk to me about what was going on and you wanted to interact and kind of share what you're dealing with and whatnot, and he just didn't have anyone else to talk to. That was kind of what that was for, just because we hadn't spoken in a couple of weeks, and I just wanted to give you guys an avenue to get to me that's not just email or something like that. And I am still trying to comment on them as I got a little bit behind today because of meetings, but I'm going to try to get back at it tomorrow and Saturday so I can read your responses and give you feedback and just kind of like have our, back and forth. So I still have quite a few to read and comment on, but I'm doing the best I can with what I have. What assignments are we getting next week? All of that will be posted on Monday. And as far as assignments go, don't really think of them as assignments that you're going to be really having to do that's super rigid. Think of them as simply review activities. Nothing's going to be due like a due date like I would normally have, because they're intended for you just to kind of more or less play with the content and kind of get back into a swing of things. If you're reviewing your notes and you're reading the chapter, that's pretty much 99-ish% of what I'm going to ask of you for the next week or two. I just want you to be familiar with the information so that when we start new stuff, it's more or less review. Now, again, I'm going to have office hours in there, so if you want to come in and talk about certain stuff, feel free to do so. But don't think of the next 2 weeks as you have to have a whole bunch of information like that. Okay, let's see here. We are, 26 minutes. All right. Well, sorry for that sweet echo at the very, very beginning. Glad we figured that out, and glad I was looking at the chat. Otherwise, I would have just kept going, and you guys would have been awfully hard of hearing after a while. So, all right, cool. We're gonna end this now. I'm going to get off so I can go get some dinner. I hope all of you guys are staying healthy and keeping yourself out of harm's way. Remember that this time, especially now, it's one of the most crucial times for you guys to make sure you're washing your hands and keeping yourself and your loved ones, healthy and whatnot. Do what you got to do to do all of that, but stay away from as many people as you can. Wash your hands, sanitize your area, and just kind of chill out and get back into the swing of things. We will start rocking and rolling. Again, Monday morning starts a new day and starts a new time for us, but we should be good to go. I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Kind of enjoy the time you have with everybody that's in your family, and we will just kind of get it from there. All right. Have a good one, all.